words very contrary, opposite and answering. My boy Yahuah handed them, they trampling this planet and they damaging the land and hating the skies we answering, not giving us a chance to win. Yahuah called, I answered him, I'm fearing him. On the mountain declaring his good news to those that's hearing him. He's sealing them, the wicked he's revealing them. The sickness he is healing them. Yes, he is very real, and when you believe you will hear from him. He's calling those that seeking him. Wait on it, beating him, hearing and receiving him. The true love and believing him. I'm real him. On his name, Yahuah, he'll draw you to Yahusha. Call his name, call his name, call his name. Please come, Yahusha, we need you. Please come to get your people. We are but just a remnant that's strengthened by what you speak to us. We need you to breathe in us, keep feeding us, keep leading us and teaching us, increasing us until the day we be with you. It's dark folks here ain't seeing ya. Most think that they believe in ya. Don't see that they just need you. Just continue with that healing stuff. But I'ma keep speaking cause there's only just one truth. All those doctrines, denominations are all so far from you. You knew us all from the womb. I'll seek you until the tomb, hoping that you come in soon. The one reason ain't doom and gloom, but in this darkness we need your light to guide our path and be our light. Guide my words and what I write so we don't Proverbs 11:9. Yahuah, go ahead and use me. Whatever your plan, include me. There's nothing I'd rather be doing. There's nothing else worth pursuing. I'll be seeking your face all the way until the day I need your presence from the heavens. Come to this place and you stay. I pray. On his name, Yahuah, he'll draw you to Yahusha. Call his name, call his name, call his name. Call on his name, Yahuah.
Once again, Mashpaka, want to welcome you all back. It is my hope that you enjoy the break, and also that for those of you that were here, that you found a reflection on a recording from last Foundational Facts Fellowship to be a baraka, to be helpful, to be enlightening in some regards, and so. Again, we give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem. Praise Yahuah for this opportunity. Before we went to break, we left off at verse 7 in Mashali chapter 18, Proverbs chapter 18. And so we're going to be picking up from there and moving on. Again, I just want to remind you, family, that once we get to the end here of chapter 18, or if we don't get to the end of it today, see how Yahuah guides us here. But if not, nonetheless, we will reserve some time at the end for your questions, comments, and even testimony, should you have one that you would like to share with the Mashpaka. So without further ado, family, we're going to go ahead and pick back up on where we left off in Proverbs chapter 18. And so in verse 7, as we read before, it says, a fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are the snare of his being. Okay? A fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are the snare of his being. The word that they translate soul, the word is nafash. Okay, nafash. In this case, nafashu, speaking of his being, of his spirit, of his being. All right, we covered that already. So now we're gonna go on to verse 8. The words of a whisperer are like dainty morsels, and they go down into the innermost parts of the body. The words of a whisperer are like, the word they use is dainty, which is really somewhat of an older English word. That's the word. The words of a whisperer are like dainty morsels, and they go down into the innermost parts of the body. What it's talking about, really, it is like the words of a whisperer can be enticing. Can be when a whisperer comes, they come with intrigue, they come with suspense, they come with stuff, they come with a kind of demeanor that will draw you in, suck you in. You see what I'm saying? And even if you're not interested in the whispering, if you're not careful, you can quickly get caught up in it. Right? So the words of a whisperer are like dainty morsels, and they go down into the innermost parts of the body. And so when the whisperer comes, he comes with enticing words. He comes with drama. He comes with the effects, you see. It comes with everything that it takes to lure you in. But the thing is that when the whisperer comes, and those words do come, and you hear them, they don't just go away. You see, they don't just go away. Keep in mind that a whisperer is usually somebody with some kind of agenda. Okay? Yes, it is hard to unhear them, and not only that, it's because it's so hard to unhear them. They're gonna influence your perception. You see, because they might come to you and they might whisper something to you about somebody else. And when you see that person, the first thing that's going to come back to your mind are those words that were whispered. Now, It may be true, it may or it may not be true what this person says about, whispered to you about an individual. It may be true, it may not be true. But whether it is true or not, your response to that person, to that individual, might be somebody that you've never met before. But your response is going to be based on those words that were whispered. You see, or they could be based on those words that were whispered. And you've got to make a decision. You've got to make a decision, because maybe you did not intentionally participate in the whispering. Maybe they came along and you thought they had something genuine they wanted to say, and so you became an unwilling participant in the whispering. And oftentimes a whisperer is a sneerer. Okay, they want to put off their perception of somebody or a situation. They want you to have the same perception. They want you to have the same reaction. They want you to respond and to react in the same way as they do. Okay? And so those words, they go in, they go deep. And when they go in, they go and they make themselves a nice cuddle little space in your innermost being. You see, they find a nice little warm, comfy corner, and they make themselves at home. And what will happen is that you might think that, okay, those words, it would almost seem as if they no longer exist. You heard it, and then it's no more. But it's not until you encounter the subject of the whispering. It's not until you encounter the subject of the whispering that those words now float to the top. And then you have a decision to make. And the decision that you have to make is this: whether you're going to respond based on the perception of the whisperer, or you're going to give that person a chance to show their true character. You see? Oftentimes, the reason why there is so much misunderstanding, and the reason why there are so many problems that seem as if you can't find the source of it is because too often people may allow themselves to be influenced by somebody else's perception, and so we end up now taking on somebody else's baggage, and we develop problems with somebody that we don't even quite have an opportunity. I've never even quite have an opportunity to know. You see, that's what fuels racism. For example, that's what fuel racism. That's what fuel racist behavior, because based on somebody else's perception, we might take on the perception, and other people take on a certain perception of other people. And they never gave you a chance to find out whether or not their perception, the perception that they now hold, the perception that they now house, whether or not it is right or it is true. Or whether or not it is simply something that was whispered to them by somebody else who have issues of their own, perhaps. And because they have issues of their own, they want you to take on their issues also. So the words of a whisperer are they're like sweet morsels, they're appealing morsels, and they go down into the innermost parts of the body. You will digest them without even realizing that you have. And it's not until you encounter the subject of the whispering that you realize you have a problem. You see, so we got to be careful about whisperers and whispering. You see, got to be careful about whisperers and whispering. You see. Yes, maybe that's what it is, Aki, right? You see. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Now, verse 9. Verse 9. He also is slack in his work. He also is slack. So watch the whisperer. Just like the fool, the whisperer has his characteristics, right? So not only does the whisperer like to whisper, and when he whispers, he comes with an agenda, and that he wants you to develop his perception or her perception, but he is also slack in his work. Okay? His brother to him, and his brother to him who destroys. So the whisperer is slack in his work. Slack in his work. Let's look at that for a moment. Slack in his work. Okay? Slack in his work applies to many things, I would say. He begins to whisper without first verifying anything. Right? So the whisperer whispers without verification. In other words, he spreads rumors. Okay? So he whispers without verification. Don't test anything. Don't try anything. Does not have a work ethic. Okay? Does not verify anything. Does not prove anything. Just loves to whisper. Right? That's also the fool. Remember now, the fool can't wait to talk. You see? So the whisperer tends to be slack in his work. Don't verify anything, just run about spewing stuff, never taking the time to proving a matter, right? And it says that he is the brother to him who destroys. He is the brother to him who destroys. So the whisperer is destructive. You see, the whisperer is destructive. He helps in the destruction of people. You see, family, if you have a problem with somebody, the way to fix the problem is not to run around and whisper about the person. Whisper to others about the person. If you're genuinely seeking a solution, the person who is genuinely seeking a solution, don't run around whispering. You know what they do and what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to go to that person. Don't just go about whispering to other people about the individual. Because if that's what you're doing, then all you're trying to do is you're trying to get people on your side, regardless of how your side might be. Regardless of how jacked your side might be, regardless of how corrupt your perception might be, regardless of how messed up your thoughts might be, you're simply trying to get people to side with you. That's why you go about whispering instead of confronting the situation, instead of going and talking to the person. Now, I use the word confront. But it is important to note also that even though I use the word confront, I'm not saying that if you have a problem with somebody, that confront means that you jump in their face and act like you want to fight and you know, you're just rude and bullish and whatever. No, that when I talk about confronting the person, I'm not talking about being argumentative. I'm not talking about trying to start a fight. I'm talking about starting a conversation. Somebody used the word coward. Yep. Whisperers are also cowards. You see, because they do not want to confront the situation. They do not want to confront the person. It's easier for them to walk around and whisper and then try to get the crowd on their side. Try to paint themselves as the good person in this. Warning. When you see people running around whispering, be warned and be alarmed. Because more than likely, the story they're telling you is flawed. You see. So our responsibility, if we have a problem, if we have an issue, is not to run around and whisper, but we go to the person that we have the problem with. We seek to reason together to get to the bottom of it. We seek to sort it out. You see, seek to sort it out. Was there a question on the board? What about a person who is troubled and wants to confide in you for advice? Now, yes, now that's there's always place. There's always place for advice. There's always place to seek advice. As a matter of fact, Yahuah tell us that we should seek out counseling, that we should seek out advice. And so sometimes it might be that you don't want to. It's not that you want to go, it's not that you're whispering about somebody. You see, the person who seeks advice as opposed to whispering, there is a difference between seeking advice and whispering. Because the person who goes to seek advice, they already know what they're, that I will have to confront this person, that I will have to confront this situation, that I am going to have a conversation with this person. Okay, I am going to have a conversation with this person. There is no question about that. I am going to have a conversation. I am going to respond to this person. The thing is that I need to make sure that my response is right. You see, I need to make sure that I am correct in my response. I need to make sure that I am correct in my approach. And so, you know what? So that I don't offend this person unnecessarily, and so that I don't make a mess of this, I'm going to go and seek some advice. You see, before going and making a mess of it. So I go and I seek advice, but I already know, because I'm not a whisperer, that I'm going to talk to this person. So seeking advice is not the same as being a whisperer. You see, the whisperer comes and he goes su 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 su, you know, as they say in Jamaica, su 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 su, you know, they come with them su 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 su, and they have no intent on resolving it. The only thing they want to do is to get more people on their side and keeping the subject of their whispering in the dark. So they're building up people on their side, stacking up people against this person, and all the while this person may not even know it. You got a whole lot of folk out there like that, family. Listen, you have people, you have teachers in Yasharal that are like that. Running around whispering among each other and among people, seeking to put people on their side, never saying anything to the persons or people that they have an issue with. You see. Now, Akikit says, then the one who thoughts is not grounded believes the whispered in return can destroy a relationship or friendship. Absolutely. Absolutely, Aki. Absolutely. Okay? So the whisperer is also slack concerning his work, and his brother to him who destroyer is brother to the destroyer. Okay? Now, the Sham of Yahuah is a strong tower. The Sham of Yahuah is a strong tower. The Sham, the name or the fame, the knowledge, the name, the fame, the knowledge of Yahuah is a strong tower. The set apart runs into it and is safe. Now, again, I want to emphasize the definition of Sham. I want to emphasize the definition of Sham for a very important purpose. Okay? The Sham of Yahuah is a strong tower. I want to emphasize the definition of Sham. By the way, I forgot to check to see whether or not the family Oh, yes. Okay. Praise Yahuwah. Um, Now, I want to emphasize the definition of I want to emphasize the definition of the word sham that is used here. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm trying to find my place back. Where is it at? Where is the scriptures? Okay, I want to emphasize the definition of sham, the word that is used here. The sham. This is it here. Shan mam, and it is pronounced sham. It is the word sham. The sham of Yahuah. The name of Yahuah is a strong tower. The set apart runs into it and is safe. Now, I want to broaden this. Because I believe sometimes we might say that, we quote that verse, but I don't think we get the broadness of what it's saying in many cases. The sham of Yahuah. So when we think about sham, know that we should be thinking about fame. We should be thinking about, what's the other word that I used earlier? The sham, the fame, the name, the knowledge. Yes? Character. These are all words that we should think about. So when we say the sham of Yahuah is a strong tower, we're not simply saying that, and Yahuah is not saying that it's a strong tower to anybody who can utter his name, who can say Yahuah. Okay, that's not what the verse is saying. Okay, sham, fame. It means fame, it means character, it means knowledge. Okay, yes, and even experience. Right? Now, the word that I want us to focus on here is knowledge. Knowledge. When we think of sham in this context, think of knowledge. Okay? It's not just a matter of knowing his name. You see, because even the adversary knows his name. It's a matter of having his knowledge. You see, knowledge, wisdom. Yes. So the sham of Yahuah, the knowledge of Yahuah, the wisdom of Yahuah is a strong tower. Okay? So it's not just about knowing his name, but it is having his knowledge, walking in his wisdom. When you walk in the wisdom of Yahuah, you are secured. You see, when you walk in the wisdom of Yahuah and the knowledge of Yahuah, you are defended. You see, when you walk in his wisdom, you are strong. He says, for a lack of knowledge, my people perish. So the knowledge of Yahuah, the wisdom of Yahuah, is a strong tower. To live in, to walk in, to operate in the wisdom of Yahuah, the knowledge of Yahuah, is to be secured in a strong fortress. Okay, the knowledge of Yahuah, the wisdom of Yahuah is a strong tower. The set apart run into it and are safe. Okay, the sham of Yahuah. So the sham is not limited to just thinking about the name, but it's representative of all that Yahuah, what he represents, what he embodies. Okay, so the sham of Yahuah is a strong tower. The set apart runs into it and is safe. A rich man's wealth is his strong city, and like a high wall in his own imagination. Yeah, a rich man's wealth is his strong city. You see, a fool puts his trust in his wealth. A fool puts his trust in his wealth. But Yahuwah tells us that the fool and his money will soon depart. So a rich man's wealth is his strong city. You see, rich people, many rich people, foolish rich people, think that they can say and do whatever and will always get away with it because they see their riches as their great defense. But remember that Yahuwah tells us that the fool and his money will soon depart. You see, a rich man's wealth is his strong city, and like a high wall in his own imagination. It is only in his imagination. Because your money is only going to protect you for so long and for but so far. You see. And so for the one who thinks that his money will be his protection forever, that one is a fool. A rich man's wealth is his strong city, and like a high wall in his own imagination. It's only in his imagination. It's only in his imagination. Yes, indeed. Only in his imagination. Before destruction, the heart of man is haughty, but humility goes before honor. Okay? Before destruction, the heart of man is haughty. Yeah, he's on top of the world. That's the foolish man. That's the man without Yahuwah. A man living without wisdom. Before destruction, he's going along, he's singing, he's dancing, he's getting drunk, he's making merry, not realizing that destruction awaits around the corner. Before destruction, the heart of man is haughty. You see, when we live without Yahuwah, destruction creeps upon us. You see, but having a knowledge of Yahuwah, destruction, chaos does not take us by surprise when we have a knowledge of Yahuwah. Yahuwah says, is there wickedness in the city and Yahuwah not know it? Is there anything that is done in the city and he does not reveal it to his prophets? You see. So when we are walking in line with Yahuwah, destruction cannot, and destruction does not creep upon us unawares. You see, destruction lurks and it looks for an opportunity to surprise its victim. When we are walking with Yahuwah, before destruction, before we run into destruction, Yahuwah let us know that destruction is around the corner. Before we run into destruction, Yahuwah warns us and he lets us know that destruction is around the corner. Let me give you an example of this. Let's go to the book of Bereshit, chapter 4. Let's go to the book of Bereshit, chapter 4. You see, if you were and if you are walking with Yahuwah, destruction does not come upon you suddenly. You see, it comes upon the wicked suddenly, because Yahuwah does not talk with the wicked, but he does talk with his people, those who have turned to wickedness. At least for a time, the conversation continues. You see, until you make the decision to totally cut yourself off. Okay? Now the man had relations with his wife, Kua. Her name is Kua, not Eve, as you see here, family. So the name of the first woman wasn't Eve, for anyone who may not know. Her name was Kua, not Shava. Okay? Kua. Here it is right here. Okay? Kat u hey. Kua. Okay? Now then, man had relations with his Asha, Kua, and she conceived and gave birth to Kayan. Okay? Kayan, not Cain. And she said, I have gotten a man-child, Ayash, man-child, with the help of Yahuah, or from Yahuah. Okay? Gotten a man-child from Yahuah. Again she gave birth to his brother, and his brother's name was Habal. Habal, not Hevel. Habal, that's Yiddish, Hevel. Habal. And Habal was a keeper of flocks, but Kayan was a tiller of the ground. Kayan was a tiller of the ground. So it came about in the course of time that Kayan brought an offering to Yahuah of the fruit of the ground. Habal, on his part, also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of their fat portions, and Yahuah had regard for Habal and for his offering. But for Kayan and his offering he had no regard, so Kayan became very angry, and his countenance fell. Then Yahuah said to Kayan, why are you angry? Watch this now. Why are you angry? And why has your countenance fallen? Here we go. Watch this now. If you do well, will not your countenance be lifted up? And if you do not do well, transgression is crouching at the door, and its desire is for you, but you must master it. So watch this. Remember what I said earlier, that destruction, chaos does not overtake us, the people walking in Yahuah. It does not overtake us by surprise. It does not come upon us by surprise, because we already know that if we do well, will not your countenance be lifted up? And if you do not do well, will you not find favor? That's what it's saying. Will you not find favor in the eyes of Yahuah? If we do well, will we not find protection in the eyes of in the presence of Yahuah? If we do well, will we not rest in the shalom of Yahuah? Will chaos not be destroyed on our behalf if we do well? But if you do not do well, sin, destruction, chaos is crouching at the door, and its desire is for you, but you must master it. You see, chaos is always crouching at the door. The opportunity to disobey is always present. Temptation is always around the next corner. But as people of Yahuah, we must master it. As people of Yahuah, we must master it. You see, Kayan knew. He knew that destruction was always luring, waiting. Habal also knew. The difference is that Habal mastered it. Habal overcame it. Habal did not fall for it, whereas Cain, he gave in to it. You see, if you do well, Yahuwah's favor will be upon you. If you do not do well, disobedience, chaos lures at the door. You see, it is always lying in wait. Proverbs chapter 18. If we do well, family, our countenance will be lifted up. Yahuwah's favor will be upon us if we do well. And it does not matter how many adversaries we have against us. It does not matter how many adversaries, how many enemies that plot against us. Remember this, if we do well, the favor of Yahuwah will be upon us. But if we do not, chaos lies at the door. You see, chaos lies at the door if we do not do well. Okay? Now, halal hu Yahuwah, halal hu Yah. Now, let's go to verse, where are we at now? Verse 10? No, oops, we're a little further along. Where are we at here? Let me see. I forget what verse we were. All right, so before destruction, the heart of man is haughty, but humility goes before honor. That's the other part. Humility goes before honor. You see, family, for us to be esteemed by Yahuwah, for us to be lifted by Yahuwah, we have to be humble. Quite the opposite of the world. Now, to be humble does not mean to be timid. To be humble does not mean to be timid. Some people mistake timidity for humility. And some people mistake pridefulness for confidence. You see, it's okay to be confident, but not to be prideful. And it's okay to be persuaded or to be brave, to be bold, but not to be prideful, not to be how should I put it? The opposite of being timid. Not to be haughty. Yes, indeed. You see. So, to be humble does not, and to be boastful, right? Haughty, boastful, right? So, to be humble, yes, and to be overly aggressive. You know what's interesting, family? When and understand now the way that I use the word aggressive here. For us to, if we are achievers, if we are going to be achievers in regards to anything that Yahuwah would have for us to achieve, we're going to have to be aggressive in that sense. What I mean by that is that, yes, persistent. To be persistent, it's a form of aggressiveness. So you could say that you can be positively aggressive or you can be negatively aggressive, where you're showing negative aggression. You see what I'm saying? Yes. So persistence and perseverance and the ability to take hold of something and to pursue it and to get it done, that's in a sense being aggressive. But But you must be able to be aggressive in a positive sense and not with negative aggression. Some people are aggressive to the point that they cut everybody down in their way, for the sake of their success. That's the separatist. You see? The separatist is selfishly aggressive. You see? But together we can work together and be positively aggressive, working together. Not in a destructive way, not cutting people down, but as far as getting the job done, as far as fulfilling our task. You see? Being persistent, being persevering, you see, and all of that. Being diligent, you see. The heart of man is haughty, but humility goes before honor. Okay? Humility goes before honor. Let's go on to the next one. He who gives an answer before he hears it, it is folly and shame to him. He who gives an answer before he hears, it is folly and shame to him. What that means is that if we seek to give an answer to something before we actually research, prove that thing, it becomes folly to us. Folly and shame. It becomes folly and shame. As I read the book of Proverbs, I think as people of Yahuah has given us a brilliant example in what and how not to be on a national level. He's given us a national example whereby we can apply the opposite of this example to our personal lives, our individual lives, and we will be much better off. This week I saw some news clippings from Donald Trump's media, whatever you call it, is debacle with the media. I saw some clippings from his news conference with the media. Yeah, his press conference with the media. And there were a lot of things that were shameful to it, but one of the things that I found amazing was when he was up there and he was boasting about how he won the election and by how much he won the election, and that he's won the most whatever votes since Ronald Reagan. And then a reporter got up and asked him and said, "Sir, well, George Bush won by this much, Obama won by this much, they both had more votes than you did." And then he had to shamefully say, "Well, that's what I was told." Now here it is, a moment ago he was just boasting about facts that were no facts at all, because he never took the time to prove anything. He is giving answers and never validate anything, never tested anything. He just gets up there not realizing that there might be somebody in the audience. There might be somebody in the audience who actually knows. You see, when we speak, we need to keep in mind that we need to either verify what we're saying, or if we're not sure of what we're saying, say, "You know what? I don't know. I could be wrong on this, and be willing to ask for help." If somebody knows better than I do, please let me know. He who gives an answer before he hears it, he who gives an answer before he hears, that's the other thing too. Have you ever been in a conversation? You know, I stopped having Facebook conversations with people because what I found was that you could be trying to have a conversation with somebody, you're trying to have meaningful dialogue, but it came a point where I realized that on Facebook, people are not interested in a conversation. A lot of people on Facebook aren't interested in a conversation. They bring up a subject matter, and then what they begin to do, if you respond, they're not having a conversation. They're not reading what you're saying. They're just throwing stuff out there. So here it is now. All y'all are doing is throwing stuff at each other. You see what I'm saying? There is no real conversation going on. So they already come with an agenda. They have it all plotted out. They start something, act like they want a conversation. So now you go to have a conversation, you start responding. Before you can finish responding, they already have a response to your response, which is no response to your response. Because their response has nothing to do with what you're saying. Has all to do with their agenda. And we don't get anywhere like that. You see? We don't get anywhere like that. We gotta be able to have a conversation. People of Yahusha, I see it a lot. They're not interested in having a conversation. They're not interested in dialogue. But they're busy answering before they hear the matter. That is dangerous. I remember a few years ago I saw something. Basically what this person did, I don't remember the context of it now. It was some court proceeding, but what this person did was they actually incriminated themselves because they were so anxious to defend themselves and their position that as there was a question being asked, and as the question is being asked, they give an answer, and in giving the answer, their answer had nothing to do with the question being asked. They only incriminated themselves. You see, many times, and this is what feeds arguments. This is what feeds arguments, and it can feed arguments in our households, in our marriages, in our relationship with others. Because instead of talking to one another, we talk past one another. Because we don't stop long enough to hear what the other person is saying so that we can respond to what they're saying. No, we don't do that. We're answering before we even hear what they're saying. And so now it's not that you are conversing with one another. You're talking past one another. Your conversations are just flying past one another. Nothing connecting because you're on two different levels. You're responding to something totally different. Never to what is being said because you don't stay quiet long enough to hear what is being said. I remember a few years ago, and some of you family may remember this. I remember a few years ago, got an invitation. I was asked by some people that were actually a part of the fellowship if they could bring along a friend to the room so that we can have a discussion about the name. Now, the friend of these individuals saw nothing wrong with the name Jesus, along with some other things. Jesus and some other stuff. So they asked if they could bring their friend and that we could have a conversation in the room about the name and about some other things that these individuals weren't in agreement with. They were more so on the side of their friend. So I agreed to this person coming to the room and us having a conversation. The intent was for us to have a conversation. Well, so this person came in, and From the moment he started talking, I knew that he wasn't there to have a conversation. And he just started spewing out his stuff. And I tried to establish an order. So, okay, now you speak, then I'll respond, whatever the case, whatever the case. And it just never went that way. You see, it just never went that way. Because again, they came not to have a conversation. You see, they came to make a point. But the point for us is, if what we're seeking is truth and resolve, then the point is not to make a point. The point is to get to the point. Okay? The point is not to make a point. The point is to get to the point. And the point that we're trying to get to is truth. And in order for us to get to the point, it's not to make a point. Don't run around just making more points, making other points. There's only one truth. Everybody's trying to make a point. And so now you have points all over the place. So many points you no longer know where the true point is. So the point is not to make a point. The point is to get to the point. And the only way we're going to get to the point is if we're able to have a conversation. You see. Now, Achuthy wrote something. I missed it. Let me see. Like the policeman who appeared at the door regarding the census. And the man threw up his hands and said, "I did not mean to kill her." Wow. 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 He just gave up himself. Wow. You see. So we have to keep in mind that the point is not to make a point. The point is to get to the point. And that point being truth. You see. And the only way we're going to get to the point is by being able to converse with one another. By being able to converse with one another. So he who gives an answer before he hears, it is folly and shame to him. Don't give an answer before you hear the whole matter. Verse 14. The spirit of a man can endure his sickness. The spirit of a man can endure his sickness. It's interesting here that the word that's used is not nafash. The word that's used is the ruach. The ruach. And that's important. Okay? The ruach. Now we know according to the scriptures that we have the indwelling ruach when we are in shalom, when we are in the land. Okay? The ruach is Yahuah living in his people. Okay? Now if you go by that's where you got to be careful with the lexicon, and that's why it's important to study for yourself, because if you go by the lexicon identifies the word ruach as simply breath, wind, or spirit. Ruach is Yahuah. Yahuah spirit. You see, Yahuah dwelling in his people. That's Ruach. Nafash is wind, breath. Okay, so there's a difference. There's a distinction, and the scriptures uses different words at different times. There are times when it used the word nafash. There are times when it used the word ruach. And these usages should be, we should note them. Okay? Now, the ruach of a man can endure his sickness, but as for a broken spirit, the word again used is ruach. As for a broken ruach, who can bear it? A broken, oh, what's the word I'm looking for instead of broken? A okay, the word used stricken, okay, or stricken, or there's another word, a defiled, you see. In other words, if you defile, when we are in the set apart place, having Yahuah Ruach dwelling in us, and we defile the Ruach, you see the word bear here? The word bear here, they say to lift or to carry, to take. Uh, who can carry it is really the word. In other words, if you defile the Ruach cannot continue to reside in you. If you defile the Ruach, if you defile Yahuah Ruach, the Ruach, Yahuah Ruach cannot continue to reside in you. You see? That again goes to, it just put a dagger in the heart of the Christian doctrine about once saved, always saved. You see? Once saved, always saved. That whole thing is nonsense, you know. That whole thing is nonsense, because us being saved is not a one-time event. You see? So the Ruach of a man can endure his sickness. The Ruach of a man can endure. It can endure our the different things, our trials, our troubles. It can endure. The Ruach of a man, it will endure his trials. Okay? But as for a profaned Ruach, no one can carry it. The Ruach will not remain in a defiled body. You see. Now, all right. Verse 15. The mind of the prudent acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. The mind of the prudent acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. The mind of the prudent acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. Okay? The mind of the prudent acquires knowledge. A prudent person seeks to learn, seeks to acquire knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. You see? So a prudent person seeks to acquire knowledge. We need to be both prudent and wise. Okay? We need to seek out knowledge so that we may know how to walk in wisdom, how to act. We need to seek out knowledge so that we may know how to act. That's what a prudent person does. Seek out knowledge so that you may know how to act, so that you may know how to operate in wisdom. So you may know how to act wisely. You see, the mind of the prudent acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. You know what, family? I'm going to stop here in Mashali chapter 18 today, verse 15. And what I want to do is open up the mic to any comments or questions. We have about 8 more verses to go. Okay, and so we're going to stop here for today. And I'm going to open up the microphone to any comments or questions. Okay, let's see. YarahYah. Let me get to a screen here where I can see. All right, Aki Keith, please go ahead, Aki.
Shalom, Aki.
Shalom to you, Aki. Great to hear you.
Always great to hear you as well. You know, Yahuah is so great because every week that I come on this lesson is something that me or someone else in the house has talked about prior to the lesson.
Praise Yahuah.
And that never happened in Christianity. You know what I mean? That never happened. And when you get the word of you, Yahuah is a cure for you. It's like so awesome. You know, it's so awesome. I want to jump out this window, but not literally, but it's just so awesome. You know what I mean? So again, Aki, I want to all praise to Yahuah to have you to give us this, because I know I'm loving it, and I know the rest of the house is loving it, and the people who are listening. Let's continue to be Barak by Yahuah and help the house. All praise to Yahuah. Hallelujah.
All praise to Yahuah. Yahuah. To the Aki, to the Rabbah for sharing and for the encouragement. Again, when Yahuah uses his people to confirm and to affirm his word, it is a barakah, because I must tell you, many times I got to tell you, family, many times, and even today, I struggle with, and this is that Yahuah again reveals to me that it's him and not me. But I wrestle with whether or not I'm boring the people of Yahuah. I really do. I really do. It's an ongoing battle for me. It's always it's something that I'm sorry, and I hope I don't sound ungrateful to Yahuah, but I'm very sensitive of my inabilities, I think is what it is. I don't have any confidence in myself and what I can do, and so again, it just goes to show Yahuah's goodness. I can take absolutely no credit for it, and so to Yahuah be all praise, to Yahuah be all esteem, to Yahuah be all honor, because again, I truly can take no credit for it. To Yahuah be praised. All right, let me go to praise Father Akut, praise Yahuah, praise Yahuah, praise Yahuah. All right. Anyone else on this today, family? Anyone want to share? You have a testimony, you have a comment, you have a question. By the way, let me check on the family on YouTube. Give me a moment while I do that. Give me a moment while I do that. Yes, Wounded Ruach. Yes, Akut, Aki Jim Akut Sherry. Yes, indeed. Okay. Once again, family, I want to say to the Rabbah for your patience. Again, I'm very mindful too. I told a story before about going to Philadelphia and preaching at a church. And I was preaching for about 45 minutes, and the pastor of the church said loudly, quite loudly, "When's this going to be over?" People in church would not sit for the amount of time that you sit and partake in Yahuah's word, family. And I just appreciate you. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate your love for Yahuah. Yes, but I was preaching, and in the middle of preaching, and that was at a time as Yahuah was bringing me out of Christianity, and a lot of the things that I was proclaiming was really hitting Christianity, and I guess he couldn't help it no more. He said, "When is this going to be over?" Real loud he said it, and then come to find out, just a few weeks later, that pastor was exposed, brought to shame, because he was leaving church and having an affair with a woman, another woman in the church besides his wife, and that came out a few weeks after that. But let's see. Go ahead, Akut YarahYah. Please go ahead, Akut. Yes, no, yes.
Shalom, family. Can I be heard?
Yes, yes, Shalom Akut.
Praise Yahuwah. Yeah, the book of Mashali is just so full of wisdom, and just praise Yahuwah for his word and the lesson. I am just trying to be obedient. I know I promised. When you make a promise to the Father,
Yes.
I've struggled a lot, just like you. I do have a song that I wanted to share, and if you would bear with me, it's called Zion, or Zion is calling us back home,
Praise Yahuwah.
and it's well, praise you all. I don't remember even when I wrote it, but I want to try to forth, and hopefully you can hear it above the pounding of my heart because I struggle with being nervous coming up here. But praise Yahuwah, I'm going to try to just obey what I promised him I would do.
To the Akut.
Yahuwah. The word of Yahuwah speaks of a man. He received Yahuwah's promise, and his name was Abraham. Yah said in Yitzhak, your seed I will call. They'll become a mighty people, but transgression will make them fall. To be carried away on ships to distant lands. They'll lose sight of who I really am. Oh, my people, can you hear me? I'm calling you from that distant shore. Repent and return unto me. Zion is calling to you back home. I chose you for myself, but you chose your own way. Disobedience in God's caused you to go astray. I cast you off. Now it seems you've lost your way. You can't remember who you are. That's the price you had to pay. Lost sight of who I am. A sad price you had to pay. But I hear him calling, oh my people, can't you hear me? Calling you from that distant shore. Repent and return unto me. Zion is calling to you back home. If my people that are called by my name would humble themselves and seek my face and pray, I will hear you. Oh, I'll write Torah upon your heart, and from there you won't depart. I will heal you and heal your land. but you can't remember who you are. That's the price you had to pay. Lost sight of who I really am. A sad price you had to pay. But he's calling you, oh my people. Don't you hear me? I'm calling you from that distant shore. Repent, repent, and return unto me. Zion is calling you back home, calling you, calling you, calling you. Zion is calling you back home, calling you, calling you, calling you. Not Jamaica, calling you, calling you. Not America, nor the South. Zion is calling you. Home. Allow Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Zion is calling us back home. Amen.
Allahu Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Akut, I'm just glad that and thankful that you were obedient to Yahuah. The message is powerful. Oh man, it's just truth all the way through and beautiful, beautiful indeed. And we give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem. I praise Yahuah for her daughter, my sister, my Akut, our sister. May Yahuah just continue to barak you, Akut. May he continue to strengthen you and just continue to pour into you, because you know what? If Yahuah should tarry after we're gone, these messages, the message of that song and those songs that you present to the assembly, they'll be speaking to the generation after us. And so we just give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem. Should Yahuah tarry, that is not a word that went by the wayside or that is going to go by the wayside. But it will, if Yahuah tarries, it will call his people back home. Zion is calling us back home. Praise Yahuah. Beautiful indeed. And we just
sing to Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Tudah.
Praise Father. Praise Yahuah. Tudah. Tudah Akut. Tudah. Praise Yahuah. Let me go to my Akut al Yashaba. What I'm going to do with that song is I'm going to separate it from the rest of the recording and let it be a standalone recording, as is some of them already on YouTube. There's another one that you sung the other day, Akut, that I'll have to do the same thing with. I'll find the video that it's in and edit it where I can get it by itself also. But our people need to hear the message, and I give Yahuah praise for giving you the gift and the ability to convey his word in such a powerful way. Let me go to Akut al Yashaba. Please go ahead, Akut. Yes. I'm going to see if I can unmute Akut al Yashaba's mic. Akut, I'm going to unmute your phone for you, Akut.
Now?
Oops, I'm sorry. I just heard you. Go ahead, Akut. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Oh, that it was so beautiful. That I didn't know. I don't know whether to cry or not to cry. It's just so beautiful. Praise Father. Auntie, yeah, her voice. It has always been beautiful, but it's more beautiful and more powerful now since her operation than it has ever been.
Yes.
The vibrance, I mean, it's just so beautiful. Gives you chills one moment and the next moment you want to cry. You don't know what to do with yourself.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
I just praise Father for our dear sister, and I keep sounding like a broken record, but one of her names is Miriam, and we know that Miriam was a prophetess in Scripture.
Yes.
And I keep saying that over and over because Father is just doing a great thing with our Achuthy, and I'm just so appreciative for everything. Shalom, family. It's just so good to be here. I'm on my phone. Speaking of, and the lesson, Achuthy, is so good. It's just so tub is the word, right? Tub. I think that's the word in Abari.
Yes.
It's such a wonderful lesson, Achuthy, and you talk about boring someone. There's no way that you could ever be boring because the rock just guides you, you know. I want to ask a question concerning obedience. I think we all feel at times that we're just not obedient enough to Father, and sometimes I cry because I don't feel that I'm being as obedient as I should be. I have a question. There's a thing now that maybe it's nothing new, but it's the first I've heard of it that I remember. It's something called, it's an exercise program for mind, body, and spirit. And it's pronounced Qigong, Chee Gong, but it's spelled Qigong. And, you know, our people, we know how we are. We've always wanted to grab on. It's a Chinese thing. We have always wanted to take the culture of other people. That's our downfall. And as you know, that's why we're in captivity now, one of the reasons. Qi Gong. When I first heard of it, people were saying that it does good, it strengthens you, and it helps you, you know, physically, mentally, emotionally. But I have a problem with it. Maybe I'm making too much of it, but I don't think that as Abari people that we need to incorporate into our way of life things from other cultures. I'm quite sure we have something among ourselves that we could do also. But I'm just wondering what your take is on that. I think whether or not you or anyone in the room has heard about this thing. It seems to be going around now. And I just want to praise Father once again. And thank Father for you. Thank Father for my family, my spiritual family, and my physical family. Thank Father. In all things give thanks. So, and with that, I will leave the mic, and I will release the mic to the.
Praise Yahuah. Praise Father, and to the Akut for bringing that up. You know, I'm gonna start here. I believe that it's important and that it is necessary for us as a people to learn the art of self-defense, right? But the problem that I have, reason why I don't, for example, include my kids in karate dojos, well, besides the cost, besides the fact that I just don't have the money to afford it, but if I could, I still wouldn't, because of if you could teach them to defend themselves without the whole spiritual exercise, then that would be one thing. But if you martial arts is such, it is so embedded in that culture of the worship of the creation rather than the creator, that everything around you is a mighty one, and you are basically harnessing the power of everything around you and deep within you. You see, everything becomes a mighty one other than the highest, other than Yahuah. Um, and so, because of that, is a common theme when it comes to Eastern and these Eastern Asian Pacific practices. And so, for that reason, for example, yoga, a lot of people talk about how good yoga is for you, but yet there is yoga is a spiritual, it's an exercise in what I would call pagan spirituality. All of these Eastern practices is an exercise in pagan spirituality. And I believe that Yahuah warns us about that. So exercising your body is good, but when it comes to taking on those concepts and beliefs that goes with those exercises, I believe that we need to be quite careful of that. So, you know, I don't know a whole lot about that program. I know that it's an Eastern thing, and they all do bear that one thing in common. Weightlifting again. If there's no spiritual exercise involved, I go to the gym. Well, I haven't gone to the gym in years, but when I went to the gym, the only thing I did was exercise my muscles. You see, I wasn't meditating on anything. It wasn't an exercise in any kind of spirituality. You see, so we can exercise without the whole spiritual aspect of it. You see what I'm saying? And we can do so without taking on those things, and that's what exercise. The body needs exercise. You see, we should exercise, but again, Eastern cultures, they incorporate. You see, family, the heathen knows something and does something that we should know and do. The heathen's way of life, it's incorporated in everything that they do. Their pagan ways are incorporated in everything that they do. That's why Yahuah warned us when he says, do not learn the ways of the heathen, right? YarahYah chapter 10, and in other places he tells us, do not learn the ways of the heathen. Do not do what they do, right? Because he knows that their way is incorporated in everything that they do. Now, what Yahuah tells us to do is to learn his ways. And in whatever we do, his ways is incorporated in our way of life, yes. So, that's the way I view those things. They are very much incorporated into their spiritual belief, you see. And when they practice this, they're actually taking on. It's a way of summoning those spirits, so to speak. You see, yeah. But it's deeper. It's deeper. It goes deeper than that. And I believe that we can. In any exercise, we need to know how to breathe, right? If you're a runner, you got to know how to breathe. If you're exercising, you need to know how to breathe, and so on. But really, when you take a look at those cultures, it goes beyond that. It goes far deeper than that. Even the breathing exercise is about inviting, opening up yourselves to be embodied or possessed, by these spirits that they ascribe to. You see, yes. All right, so that's the way I look at it. Another thing, you can look at that holiday, Kwanzaa. Can look at Kwanzaa. Now there are a lot of great things about Kwanzaa. There are a lot of great um, how should I put it? What's the word I'm looking for? Forget the word that I'm looking for, but basically, can't think of the word I'm looking for right now. But it have some good points, some great ideas, some characteristics that we should ascribe to. But what they did was they packaged that with paganism. You see what I'm saying? It's packaged with paganism. No, that's our people. It's our people who went into West Africa and took pagan customs and stuff and wrap it and mingle it and practice it. That wasn't pleasing to Yahuah then, and it's still not pleasing to him now. Yahuwah's word give us a roadmap. It gives us a guide as to how to live our lives without having to incorporate the ways of pagans. All right, let's go to Akuchar.
Shalom, Mashpaka, can I be heard?
Yes, you can, Akut. Shalom.
Shalom. Am I loud enough, Key, or too loud, or?
No, you're just fine, Akut.
Okay, all right. Praise Yahuah. Okay, Michael. I just want to say that Yahuah is doing in you is amazing. To Yahuah.
Oh, praise Yahuah.
The lesson that you just gave just now, I mean, years ago, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand. But the understanding that I got today was amazing. And so Tudah Rabbah for that, and Tudah Rabbah to you for that. Praise Yahuah.
Praise Yahuah.
But I have to say, Akut YarahYah, my sister, my Akut, girl. Your voice is so beautiful. I mean, it's just so beautiful. I mean, all the more now.
Yes.
But the message behind it,
Yes.
Akut, it was so powerful.
Yes.
All esteem to Yahuah. But I believe, and it just seems to me, that you were supposed to have that surgery.
Yes.
That Father's work in you will be perfected. And I tell you what, praise Yahuah, hallelujah, Yahuah, that was so beautiful and powerful. Oh, I mean, just, it was incredible.
Yes.
And so I just say, hallelujah, Yahuah, all esteem to Yahuah, and I will release the mic. And it's good to see everyone. Shalom, shalom.
Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Indeed, indeed, Akut. You said it well. You said it well. And also, I give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem for what he continues to do. You know, Yahuah, we just read in the book of YarahYah, chapter 23, where Yahuah said that he will raise up shepherds to his people, you know. And, you know, who is a shepherd? A shepherd is nothing but a servant. You see, a shepherd is simply a servant. You see, you know, when you think about a shepherd, and the role of a shepherd, the way that a shepherd operates, and I hope that YouTube is working still. It seemed to be going in circles as I check here. But Shadi, stop. You know, when you think about a shepherd, you know what a shepherd does? The shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. And I want to say that when I say that, I'm not at all comparing myself to Yahuah and what he does. What I'm saying is it's a life of service. It's a life of sacrifice. It's a life of sacrifice. And it's not easy to submit yourself to Yahuah's service, to serving his people, because the reality is, the fact of the matter is, when you have a family, when you have responsibilities, you have children with needs, you have a wife who have her own needs and requires attention and so on. Service to Yahuah and his people, it becomes a balancing act, right? It becomes a balancing act. Now, for the one who Yahuah puts it on them so heavily to continue, family, let me put it this way. I had one of, or a couple of my wonderful Akut in this room reach out to me with a suggestion out of concern for having time, making sure that my time is balanced, between doing Yahuwah's work and for the family. And the suggestion was, and I believe they might have suggested it here in the room, but the suggestion was, Aki, maybe ever so often you just let a recording play, and it's right and it sounds right, so that you can have some more time with the family. Sounds right, but it's a challenge for me because I feel like when Yahuwah feed his people, he feed them with fresh bread, fresh manna, and if it's good, the recordings are there, and for people to go back if you missed it and want to get back to it, that's wonderful. But I feel like I have a responsibility to be here, but yet too I have a responsibility to my family. But it's a balancing act, and the last thing I want to do is displease Yahuwah, dishonor Yahuwah. The last thing I want to do, and the last thing I want to be, is like Dahoud. When Dahoud should have been out there at battle, when he should have been out there in the fight, and he decided to take some time off and stay at home. What happened? He ended up going on top of his roof, looked down, and he saw this beautiful woman bathing. And what happened after that was he took too long looking, and because he looked too long, he began to think wrong. And before you know it, he was caught up in a whole bunch of stuff, a tale of whoring and murder, and it affected his kingdom greatly, So Dahoud, he took some time off when he shouldn't have been taking time off, and he ended up getting in trouble, and I believe that we must be about our master's business also, but also again it's a balancing act. You have a family that you have to be, if understanding Shahul when he says that if you can be single, then remain single. I understand that. I really understand that. I understand how he could say that and why he said that. I really do, because sometimes I think as a single person, I could do so much more for Yahuwah. And then I think about the flip side of that. Well, if I was a single man serving Yahuwah, I probably would get in a whole lot of trouble. So so I praise Yahuwah for my wife. I praise Yahuwah for my family. But it's quite a balancing act. It's quite a balancing act. And it's not very easy. Neither way is going to be easy. If you're single, it's not going to be easy. If you're married, it's not going to be easy. But I praise Yahuwah for his strength, for his guidance, for his wisdom. I praise Yahuwah for you, Mashpaka, for your continued encouragement. I praise Yahuwah for you. So may Yahuwah continue to have his way. May he continue to lead and guide us. Praise Father. Praise Yahuwah. Well, the door is always open. If we have, I believe strongly that if there are gifts, I believe strongly that the gifts of our people, Yahuwah intend for the gifts to be used for the benefit of his people. And if I have, if my Akeem here in the assembly ever desire to share in the studies and in leading the studies, I'm very much open to that. And again, my belief in that is that we must hold our each other accountable to the truth, you know. So um, I've tried that before with other individuals, and what I saw in the process is that some people don't want to be corrected even when they're wrong, and they they'd rather create division rather than to have a true discussion and to seek out the truth, you know. So but I'm always open to my family, anyone, a member of the assembly, you know, Yahuwah has gifted you and you would like to help in the in guiding Yahuwah's people in his word. The door is open, and I do look forward to that. Yes indeed, yes indeed. um Keith says, how can I get your introduction on my phone? Okay, Aki. You could go to YouTube and you can actually download it. There's a video on YouTube by itself. As a matter of fact, there are two versions of it. There's the long one and there's the shorter one. Um, Aki, maybe I could send it to you on Facebook, the link, and then you can go to YouTube and download it. Um, but you'd have to be able to convert it. If you download Real Player, it will allow you to download it from YouTube, and they also have a conversion tool in there where you can convert it, where you can put it on your phone. I think you might have to pay for that to be able to use that tool, but you can go to YouTube and download it. Okay. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Father. All right. So once again, Mashpaka, it's Kut Yisraela said she missed it. Not sure. Yes, indeed. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah, Kut. Yes, but you know, it's what Yahuwah, when Yahuwah puts something in you to do, you're compelled to do it, you know, and from time to time he gives you a glimpse of its fruits, you know. From time to time he gives you a glimpse of its fruit. If not, we can feel as if I mean, I'm just running my mouth. What difference is it making? You know, but from time to time, Yahuwah shows us that he is making, and his word through us is making a difference, and so we praise Yahuwah. Okay, I was saying to Keith Akut that if you go to YouTube, you can the video is there. It's two of them. One is longer than the other. One is longer than the other, but you can go there and you can download. You can download them, and you can use Real Player. You can download Real Player and use that to download it, and they also have a program, but I believe you have to pay for it. You have to get the paid version of Real Player, where you can convert it and put it on your phone. Yes. Okay. Praise Yahuwah. All right. What is the name of the intro? Give me 1 second, Akut. Give me just a sec. Let me look at it. As a matter of fact, let me just put it on the screen for us to see. I'll find it here. Bear with me just for a second, because I don't even remember the title of it on YouTube. It seems as if I'm not seeing. Well, I'm glad you do, Akut Anitra. You know, you're not the only person that says that, but for me, it's a challenge. Them in the background, you know, they're usually busy doing a whole bunch of stuff, and can be quite a distraction for me. But I'm glad that glad that you like to hear them, and you're not the only person that have said that, Akut Anitra. Other family have said that also. All right, let's see. I'm gonna try to find this video on YouTube. Bear with me while I try to look it up. Let me just share the screen so you can see as I look for it. I actually went to, let's see. Let's see. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see if I can find it here very quickly. Okay. Let's see. Bear with me, family. I've got to look through all these videos to find it. There's two of them. I'm wondering if okay, I think this is one of them. I think this is the longer one. It's titled Yahuah Yahusha set apart Haykal on Fuse dash meeting number 23203-431. That's one of them. I'm wondering if I have the shorter one on there. Let me see which one this is. So this is the longer one. Not sure if I have the shorter one on there. I could upload the shorter one, family. I'll upload. I'm not sure if the shorter one is on there, so I'm gonna upload it. I doubt it's on there. So I'll upload the shorter one to YouTube. I could do that this evening. Hopefully I can find it wherever I have it saved and I'll upload it. But this is the longer one. Okay, so I'll upload the shorter one. So if you want to get the shorter one, you can have it. Oops, guess what? Fuse knocked me off. Alright, bear with me for a second here, family. I was just knocked off by Fuse. Alright, Fuse, excuse me. Fuse just knocked me offline, so bear with me while I try to get back on. Ask your mom or someone.
This conference is being recorded.
Alright, family, sorry about that. Fuse knocked me off. Yeah, but I was saying that I'm gonna upload the shorter video because I don't think the shorter one is on. My mic was muted. Oh, my mic was muted also, but Fuse knocked me off, family. But I was saying that I'm gonna upload the shorter one because I don't believe the shorter one is on there, so I'm gonna upload a shorter video, and so you can download it if you'd like. Okay. All right, Mashpaka. Well, we're gonna prepare to close out for today. We're closing out a little bit early. My eyes feel quite heavy. Don't know why. I feel tired. But you know, we're gonna prepare to close out. You know, by the way, family, let me just say this very quickly. I want to share a testimony with the room. Let me read what Achuthy Shar said here first before I share this testimony. necessary and important. You know, I believe it is important. And you know, when I talk about the challenges of the work, when I think about that, it requires more time, more me making myself available more also for that to happen, and that in itself is a challenge there also. But I believe that it is important. I believe it is important for us to do. Go ahead, Akut. I see your flag.
Okay, Tuda Rabaki, I'll be quick. Now, so we know that the Akim are the men.
Yes.
So what if you, and I'm just throwing this at you, if you were to open the room at some point during the week where the men can come in and possibly, pray even if you're not there?
Yes, that's certainly a possibility. As a matter of fact, again, I'd be willing to give the information, login information to anyone who would be willing to facilitate that happening. I know that it's not something that I would always be able to do, in as much as I want to, but unfortunately, it's not something I'd be always able to do. One of the challenges of one of the realities, you know, of, of our life as it is right now. But yes, I could. I believe that's a wonderful idea, and if anyone is available and would like to, facilitate that, I'd be willing to provide the needed information for the room, and you can come in, open up, and have your way. Yes, Rob, or in the week, or okay. So Aki Willie suggested that maybe we could use either one of the sessions of Rob or Foundational Facts Fellowship for that purpose, and that also is a good idea. I believe that's what Aki Willie was mentioning.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead, Akut.
I mean, can you imagine if the men came together or the Akim came together?
Yeah.
To me, I think it would be a powerful thing because for the most part, it seemed like it's all about the men. But and I know it's not, but it just kind of seemed that way at times. When I say all about the men, then Torah talks a lot about the men, and so
Yes.
I think it'd be a powerful thing.
Yes.
And you hear women coming together with their prayer group, and most of the time it is women. I've never heard
Yeah.
a man's group come together, but I think it would be even more powerful now that we've come into this knowledge.
Yes.
I think maybe Yahuah may be looking for that. I don't know, but okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Mike.
Akut, I think you make a very important point and a very profound point. And I'm in absolute agreement. I believe that's needed. I do believe that is needed. And so, as a matter of fact, Wanaki had put out a video, maybe last year or a year before, dealing with something similar. And I'd shared the video on Facebook. Also, it's a challenge, and this is a part of the dysfunction of Yasharal. It's what hinders Yasharal. I gotta say, I've reached out to men of Yasharal over the years. And recently, probably about a month ago or a little longer, had an Aki reach out to me. I had an Aki reach out to me, and he asked me, his question was, what would I be willing and interested in informing in working with other men of Yasharal, if we were to form a, I forget what he called it, something that I've tried to do in the past. But he reached out to me with the same idea, and I told him I would be very willing and excited, Aki. And what he told me, he said that he would get back to me. I'm assuming he sent me a message on Facebook, and I'm assuming he said that what he's looking for basically heads of assemblies, trying to bring them together where we can come together, basically with the same thing in mind, prayer and other things, and it's been over a month, I think, since he sent me that message. I haven't heard back from him yet. I'm guessing, and I'm really guessing that he's having a tough time getting people to respond, because that's been my experience. And I've put up public messages on Facebook about us coming together, and nobody, you have, genuine brothers and sisters who respond and liked it and commented, but as far as so-called leaders of Yasharal, not a single one responded. You see, I've said that at different times, and I've reached out to people, but again, pride and arrogance and a whole bunch of other stuff gets in the way. Excuse me. And a bunch of other stuff gets in the way, unfortunately. You see, a bunch of other stuff gets in the way. But I believe that's what's needed. I believe it's necessary, and I cannot agree with you more. Okay. Oh, by the way, okay. So I was gonna share to the Akud Shar for bringing that up. And I pray that Yahuah bring it about because it's needed. Yes. That's one of the hindrances, because they're involved in the rituals. They know where what I have, and simply because I declare what the scriptures declare, don't mean that we can't have a conversation. But many of them have classified me as a false teacher, leading the people astray and stuff like that, So, hey, it is what it is. They did the same thing to YarahYah, when he spoke against their traditions, you see. Their vain traditions. Now, what I was going to say anyway, family, remember I shared with you some time back. The one thing, let me say a couple of things as we prepare to close out. My eyes are feeling really heavy here for some reason. But let me just say a couple of things before I close out, family. Let me try to get back to YouTube, see if it is working too, because I couldn't, it was spinning, just spinning. I want to emphasize a couple of things here as we prepare to close. Bear with me just for a second. I don't know if YouTube is still working or it got disconnected. Okay. All right. Okay, I think it still is. Aki M. Harrison, I hear you. Now, okay. I want to say a couple of things. I want to emphasize a couple of things. Family, I want to emphasize a couple of things about me. I'm passionate about the truth. I'm passionate about the truth. Just the truth. I've always been somebody who is sensitive to people, to situations, and sensitive to the facts. I've always been sensitive to the facts. Give me 1 second. I've always been one who is very sensitive to the facts. I've always been one who is very sensitive to the treatment of people. People, period. I'm sensitive to the treatment of people. I don't like to see people misusing other people, abusing other people. I don't like to see it. It makes me angry. Not not stupid angry, but it does make me angry. I don't lose my head and act foolish, but it makes me angry. Um, you see, so I've always been one who is sensitive to people. I and I'm one who is sensitive to the truth. I believe that the truth must be told. The truth needs to be told, and even though it might be offensive and will be offensive to some people, yet it has to be told. With that said, in speaking the truth, it's not my intent to uh, you know just offend people. My intent isn't to offend people. I don't go talking just to get under people's skin. It's my hope that in sharing the truth of whatever it deals with, that it would affect people's lives, and even if somebody is not walking according to it and not believing according to truth, that maybe by hearing they'll reevaluate what they have always been taught, what they have, what they've always believed, so on and so forth. But my intent isn't just to talk just to offend people and create a ruckus. That's not my intent. But I believe too that the truth must be spoken, even when I know that it's going to offend some people, because the truth offends. You see, it's just the way we are, family. All of us, when we first encounter anything that goes different from what we are used to, our first response is to push it away. Our first response is to strike because we feel as if we are being attacked. That's just the way we are. That's just the way the flesh is. That's just the way the wicked heart that we possess is. So our first response to truth is defense, to put up a defense. You see, and that's with everybody. But then there are some people who, even if they were in ignorance concerning the truth and they were believing a lie, and then they're shown the truth, they weigh the matter, and then what they decide is that, well, I don't care what the truth is. What I want is the lie. And they become an avid enemy of the truth, and they fight against the truth. I don't have no stomach for people like that either. I don't look at people with color in mind, but truth matters. I don't look at, when I talk about the truth, whatever it is, whether it be about the history of racism, whether it be about systematic oppression and systematic murderings of our people, and the society as a whole participating, in a society in a big way, participating in the brutality against our people over many centuries and generations and stuff like that. The reason why I talk about it is not because I want to pick on the white man. Because if the white man was black man doing it, I'd still talk about the wickedness of the black man doing it. I still talk about the wickedness of our black people. Because as a black man, I live in a neighborhood where certain parts of that neighborhood I don't go into, because I could look at another person that look like me, and that person might feel as if I'm looking at them the wrong way, or I should never have looked at them. And that could be the end of my life. That's wicked, that's stupid, that's ignorance, that's buffoonery, that's all kinds of idiocracy. That's just, that's just, I don't know what to call it. They ain't got words to describe it. That person is an absolute idiot. An idiot to the millionth degree. Okay? So we have fools We have black fools, we have white fools. We have clowns in all shapes, sizes, color, whatever. I don't defend no kind of clown. Neither the white clown, the black clown, the whatever clown. I don't defend none. The Jewish clown, the Spanish clown. I don't defend no clowns. I believe the truth must be spoken, but I'm not driven by race hatred. I'm not driven by race hatred. I just want to see people doing what's right and what's just, you know. That's the only thing that drives me, and that's what caused me to speak out. You see. Yup. That's retardation. So when I speak, it's going to be offensive to some. Some people will be offended because they just don't want to hear the truth. You see. And they're going to be offended. But again, that's the nature of truth. But whatever I share, it's not about me hating the white man or hating this man or that man. I don't even hate the Jews. I don't hate the Jews. What I hate is their hypocrisy and the fact that they continue to lie. You see. And some of them don't know that they're lying. Because they were deliberately kept in ignorance to allow the lie to take root by those who know. Those who know keep them in ignorance so that the lie can go on even stronger. But Yahuah is going to uproot that lie eventually. You see, Yahuah is going to uproot that lie eventually. But bottom line is, family, I just believe in truth and justice. You know, I have one of my favorite reggae artists, because of his message, not because of everything that he stood for, because he give esteem to Haile Selassie. I don't. But one of my favorite reggae artists is a guy named Peter Tosh. Peter McIntosh. I don't know how many of you have heard of him. Peter Tosh. Peter Tosh was murdered because of political purposes, because of political reasons, because he speak out against oppression. But Peter Tosh, yes, he's a reggae singer. Peter Tosh, he was radical, man. I like Peter Tosh, though. He was radical. He just tell the truth. He just spoke it, you know, and I like that. But Peter Tosh have a song called Equal Rights and Justice. And in the song, the first part of the song, it says, everyone is asking for peace. Everyone is crying for peace. But no one is crying out for justice. Everyone is crying out for peace, but no one is crying out for justice. We want equal rights and justice. You see, everyone crying out for peace, but no one is asking for justice. And somehow we have a system, and we even have people in the system that thinks that there is something ridiculous about asking for justice. They tell you, no, don't talk about justice, talk about peace. You see, that's nonsense. That's garbage. You see, that's trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. Bob Marley said, until the philosophy that holds one nation superior and another inferior, and everywhere it's war. In other words, as long as injustice continue, people will always be in a state of response to the injustice. That's natural. That's natural. But there are people who want to make it seem unnatural. The so-called founders of America, even though they didn't find anything. The stealers of America, let me call them that. The stealers of America, they waged war against their king. And everybody agrees that it was good and right for them to do that. Why did they wage war against their king? Well, they said taxation without representation is tyranny. They say taxation without representation is tyranny. In other words, you know what they were saying? They were saying the same thing that Peter Tosh was saying. We want equal rights and justice. And then they were also saying everybody is crying out for peace, but nobody is crying out for justice. So what they did was they went to war against their king because they wanted equal rights and justice. But we live in a Hippocratic system where it's okay for somebody, if they're white, to say no justice, no peace. But it's not okay for somebody who is black to say the same thing. All of a sudden, if you are black and you say that, you're a terrorist, you're this and you're that. So me, I believe in speaking up for justice, but I don't hate people because of the color of their skin. You see? I detest injustice, and I detest racial hatred. I hate it when black people do it. I hate it when white people do it. You see what I'm saying? See a black person just hating on somebody white and trying to do them harm for no reason. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the white person who does that also. You know? The reality is, and the truth of the matter is that throughout our history, white people have done it more to black people and to other people than anybody have ever done it to them. That's just the fact, and people don't like to hear that, but that's the fact. White people have killed more people than anybody on the face of the earth. White people have slaughtered more people than any other nationality have in the history of the earth. You see, that's just the reality. White people have displaced and robbed more people. But does that make all white person guilty of this almost animal-like behavior? No. It doesn't make all guilty, and I don't look at all white people as being evil. You see, but the truth has to be spoken. When I speak the truth, I don't intend to offend anybody, but ultimately the truth will offend. And you will be mischaracterized when you speak the truth. You'll be misrepresented, and you'll be hated. That's just the bottom line. With that said, family, I say one more thing. I want to share one more thing. You know, Yahuah is so good. Yahuah is so good. I just want to share this testimony, this quick testimony. I shared with you a few weeks back that, you know, Yahuah presented an opportunity for me to become a permanent employee where I work. And because of the great favor of Yahuah, the way that it was going to be done is that I wouldn't have to go through the whole process, because Yahuah have given me the ability to function in a way that where people In other words, he has the gifts that he has placed in me. You know, in the book of Proverbs, he says that he gives gifts to men, and the gifts that he gives us will bring us before great men. Well, because of the gifts that Yahuah has given me, it has uh, brought me to the attention of a lot of people in high places when it comes to the job. And I've done my job well. Through Yahuah's favor, I mentioned that I started that job, and in the office where I started the job, I have people. One person that was there for 20 plus years, another person was there for almost 8 years, and Yahuah demoted the person that was there for 20 something years. The person that was actually always messing with me, talking about me, clowning my accent, all kinds of stuff, lying on me. What Yahuah did was Yahuah demoted this person and put me in his position and have me leading the department. Now, this is a black person too. Now, Yahuah has made it. Well, what happened was I wanted to switch departments. And so I went and I asked our site leader if there was a possibility for me to go to the other side, switch departments. And he said certainly. He said, look into it. I think that I'd be very beneficial in another area also. So he called me back a little while later, sometime later, and he told me that he had a position for me. He was gonna switch some people around. He was gonna put somebody in my department where I'm currently at and put me in that department. And he discussed it with leadership, with the staff, with the other leaders. And the agreement was for nobody to say anything about the move, about the switch. Just that when the time comes, he would make the announcement and the switch would take place. Well, among the leaders, among the staff, somebody went out and kind of whispered it to everybody else. Talk about the whisperers, right? Whispered it to everybody else. So because the whispering went out, what the site leader did was he decided to take a different approach. And so what he did was he opened up the job. He said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to post the job. And everybody who is interested can apply to the job. That includes me. So they posted the job. And now, as it turned out, we have 3 openings. So they posted them. They posted the openings. And I had to apply also. Now, part of the application, you do the application, it takes about an hour. You answer a whole bunch of questions, trick questions, and you do a test. Now, so I got done. I did the application, responded, did the test, got an email back a few minutes later saying that they received my application. Now, this has nothing to do with the site. This has to do with the company as a whole. Got an application a few minutes later that they received their application. They're going to be going over it. Then got a response several hours later saying that they've gone over my application and that I've successfully completed the initial step, which is basically I passed the test and I passed the other stuff, the questions. I got past that, so now they're going to background check. Now 69 people applied for the job because people outside of the company applied also. So 69 people applied. Now I got another email on Friday for a phone interview. So what that means, family, is that even though the whisperers came in and things changed because of Yahuwah's favor. It seemed, as of right now, everything says that I will still have that position. I'll still be granted that position, because even though I went through the whole lengthy process and had to go through all the testing and everything, because of Yahuwah's favor, I was successful. So I have a phone interview, should be on Monday, and then we'll go from there. But praise Yahuwah, my testimony is that all has gone well in spite of. And so to Yahuwah be all esteem. All right, so I just wanted to share that with you, family. Yes, indeed. What doors Yahuwah opens, no man can shut. And what's interesting, I know I have an inclination of who whispered, and this person have other ideas because they have other people they would like to see in the position, and that's why they did what they did. At the end of the day, some of the people that they want to see in the position won't be in the position because they never made it past the testing portion. So that's that. So out of 69 people that applied, Yahuwah is still shown favor, and still in the running for it. All right, so to Yahuwah be all esteem. All right, let me go to my Aki, and Akut Shar. I've been waiting for a while. I think Akut Shar put her flag down. I'm sorry, I've been talking for a while. Yes, indeed he is. Aki, yes he is. Let me go to Aki Damon. Akut Shar, if you would like to come back to Mike, please put your flag back up, Akut. I'm sorry, it took a while. Please go ahead, Aki Damon.
Shalom, shalom, Mashmakar.
Shalom to you, Aki.
Shalom, Aki. It's just a little exhausted. I've kind of been on cruise control today. Yeah. I got a question. I was out and about, and we went to prayer. Mm-hmm. Is there any way that you could know where the east is? I mean, that's always something I wanted to ask you. Yeah. And I also want to give Yahuwah high praise for the sister that came forth. As she was singing, I was kind of painting a picture of what she was singing about. Mm-hmm. It touched me deeply. It really did. And it's amazing how Yahuwah uses us as his vessels to bring forth different ways and how he does things. But I was literally painting a picture in my mind of him calling us back in that way. It's something else. But is there any way that we could? And I just want to praise Yahuwah on that also. Yeah. But is there any way that, because I was out and about, and I almost wanted to. I just bowed my head. All I could do was bow my head at the time, and I really didn't know where the east was. So, is there any way that you could probably, give me a little information on that? I just want to say, love you, Mashmakar, and I really haven't been as vocal as I would like to be because it has a little exhausted. The week has been trying this week, but I do have a way of getting back on track. Yahuwah and trial and error shows me ways of getting back on track, dealing with crazy hours and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure next week will be better.
Praise Yahuwah.
So I just want to say praise Yahuwah on everything, and shalom, shalom.
Shalom, Aki. Wonderful to hear you, Aki, and praise Yahuwah. Now concerning your question, a compass is a good idea. Also, where you are, if you once you know what direction the sun rises in the morning, the sun is our first compass, right? That's why Yahuwah put the stars in the sky as a sign to us for many things, right? So the sun is our greatest compass. What our people used to do before they had a digital compass like we do today, they would create a sundial. And basically a sundial, what it is You could stand something up on the ground, or somebody could be standing. You draw a circle around whatever that thing is, and you determine the direction from which the sun rises, and then you mark your directions on that circle based on the shadow that is cast from that object that stands in the center. You mark the shadow going around. That's how you figure out east, west, north, south, northeast, southeast, southwest, so on and so forth. You know, the easiest thing is an app. Like again, you can use your phone, and you can get a compass app. You know, you can use that nowadays. You can get that on your phone. Or again, if you know the direction from which the sun rises based on where you are, then you know where east is based on that. You know, now once you know where east is, and this is not, the rest of it don't matter when it comes to prayer, but just in general, it's good to know. East is always to the right. So if you're looking at a map, east is always to the right. North is always up. South is always down. West is always to the south, to the west, to the left. But once you know where the sun rises, then you know where east is. Or if you know where the sun sets, you know where east is. Okay. So if you also, if you miss it at sunrise to see where the sun rises, then check for where the sun sets. Yeah, so that's where a sundial. That's why they would create sundials, because there's a certain point of the day where if you don't have a sundial, you could be at a loss, or not necessarily at a loss, because if you stand at midday, if you stand there long enough at midday, you'll begin to see your shadow move. And based on the movement of your shadow, you will be able to tell where west is and where east is, because you will see the direction that your shadow is moving in. Because as the sun moves west at midday, your shadow now moves to the east, you see? And as the sun rises in the east in the morning, your shadow is to the west, you see? It gets longer and longer. Then as the sun comes over it, it gets shorter and shorter till it comes right under you. You know, so those are some ways of figuring it out. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you're welcome, Daki. Yes, so your shadow would be like the hand on that sundial or the hand on that compass. All right. All right, family. Well, yes. We will be having Rob this Wednesday. Looking forward to that meeting, family. Currently, we're covering budgeting in Rob. That's what we're looking at right now. The importance of a budget, creating a budget. And budgeting is important in everything that we do. In everything, whether it's in your personal life, budgeting is important, or if it's running a business, budgeting is important. If it's running a nation, budgeting is important. So a budget is something that is very necessary. And so we're covering budgeting right now in Foundational Facts Fellowship. So that's what we'll be doing, and also discussing where we are concerning how much contribution we have so far, as we work together as one people, one nation, with one goal. We're looking forward to our Rob meeting this coming Wednesday evening, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Once again, family, each of you know who you are. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but what I would like to encourage is for everybody under the sound of my voice to prayerfully grasp the importance of this, and the power of this, and the possibilities that exist, and get on board, learn more about it, and let's work together to establish great things on behalf of the nation of Yahuah. All right, so we're going to prepare to close out here, family. Once again, I want to say no foundational facts tomorrow. We had foundational facts last week, I think. Yes, last week. By the way, shalom to you, Akut Yolanda, and the key YarahYah. Shalom Mashpaka. Great to see you as always. Yeah, but we had foundational facts last week, so there'll be no foundational facts tomorrow. But we will have our Rob meeting this coming Wednesday evening at 7:30. Okay. Well, sorry about that. I'm sorry, family. Well, family, we're going to close out here on this evening, and Yahuah willing. Tada, Aki, tada. Wonderful to see you as always, my Aki. Yeah, so we're going to prepare to close out on this evening, and Yahuah willing, I'll be seeing you you all soon. Now let us pray. Praise Yahuah. Allahu Yahuah. Father, we thank and praise you for your great love, your compassion, your word that is it is so powerful, so life-changing, so life-giving, so joy-giving and fulfilling. We thank and praise you for it. We thank and praise you for the correction found in your word and the instructions given through your word. May you continue to strengthen us and guide us and to lead us according to your way. And Father, may we not lean on our own understanding, but may we continue to seek for you in all our ways. You promised that if we do that, then you would direct our path. Continue to barak your people, our family, wherever they are and whatever they are faced with. I pray for your barakah upon each and every one. I pray for your strength, for your guidance, for your wisdom, for knowledge and understanding. Abba Yahuah, bring us together as only you can. May your favor continually be upon us. Watch over us, Abba, until we come together again. Keep us covered and protected, and may your name be forever praised. Allahu Yahuah. Amen. Family, may Yahuah barak you and keep you. May Yahuah lift up his face upon you and show favor unto you. May Yahuah cause his face to shine upon you and give you his shalom. May the name of Yahuah be upon you. YarahYah. Love you all, Mashpaka. Appreciate you much. And Yahuah willing, I will be seeing those of you that is able to join us. I'll be seeing you on Wednesday evening for Rob. Okay, love you, family. Shalom. Layla and Shabuah Tub family. Have a great week. Shalom.